Hey guys, welcome to the Catch Up Podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Eric.
And today we have a very special guest, a hardworking individual. He's creating a media solutions empire. His name's Tye Bate. Tye.
Hey, how are you guys?
Going, man?
How you going? Yeah, really, really good.
Thanks for coming on board, bro. Thank you very much. Yeah, we know you have a very busy schedule.
100%. Yeah, we
bro.
appreciate you coming in and having a bit of a yarn with us.
No, all good. No, my pleasure. No, thanks for the. Well, I must say I didn't get an invite. I invited myself. But yeah, we're here.
It's crazy, man. He was telling me about you like before we even started this. Like people like you really want to tell your story. Like, man, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
So I live in DY. Born here. Background's Maori.
Yes.
So yeah.
New Zealand. Whereabouts?
Yeah. Sort of the Wellington area.
Wellington. Right.
Yep. So yeah, born here and. Just for as long as I can remember, it was just, I think I've always been sort of a bit creative and a bit of a go-getter. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah, well, we can definitely tell.
I actually went to school with Tye, and he has always been like creative, and he's always been a go-getter.
Yeah, right.
That's what I look up to that. It's sick. Yeah, it's really cool.
What school did you go to?
Chroma. Yeah, Chroma campus.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where it produces.
Yeah, that's it. Throwback.
Producers, yeah. Right, okay. Nice, man.
Let's talk about a little bit about your film career.
Yeah.
So obviously you started off young. What got you into it? What drew you to film?
It would have been watching Michael Jackson's Thriller, the music video. I watched that and I was just mesmerized by the sort of all the prosthetics and special effects and the mood it created. So after
Put it on silent.
It's people, man.
no, it's good. So after that, I was just super dedicated to the craft. So I got my first I think it was like a full HD camcorder from eBay.
Wow.
I don't think it had any brand on it. It was just a no brand camcorder. And just started filming stuff after school, before school, and just filming away. So it was really good. We're creating zombie short films and all that sort of stuff.
And your parents were encouraging?
Yeah, very, very encouraging. And at the time, I was so young, it was just kind of like almost like a hobby. At the age, most people didn't have a job anyway, so it was just I was allowed to just kind of go and have a bit of fun. Yeah. So it's more when it came into the actual, I suppose, midway through high school, it's like, okay, well, what's the career going to be like?
Yeah.
Man,
awesome.
You're one of the lucky ones that like figured out what you wanted to do quite early.
Yeah.
I think a lot of young people nowadays, they don't know what they want to do, and that's the difficult thing, and they don't know how to pursue it.
Was it scary to take those steps? Like, as you said, you didn't know how you're going to do it. You just went for it.
Yeah. It's it was a bit of a leap, really. It's kind of really changed, like, because I'm doing a bit. I'd say I'm more into business now than I am into the filmmaking side of things. I was working for a company, and it was a content company, and I was going back and forth between film school,
right.
And I just really fell in love with the way that they were selling these content pieces to companies and businesses and all that sort of thing. And on the flip side, I was at film school, and it was that starving artist sort of mentality. And I was like, well, am I going to take the starving artist mentality, or am I going to actually go and make money out of it, make money out of content? So I decided to pursue the business side of thing, and business has always been sort of part of my DNA. I remember when I was probably 12 years old, I picked lemon off my cousin's neighbour's tree. Lightly stole them off the tree, and then like resold them where we were, and I got my neighbours, gave them like 20 cents, and then I sold each lemon for like $3 each. So the profit was like,
that's a hustle.
That's the
profit was big.
Yeah, the qualities that you brought into now, like you've always made something out of nothing. So
that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Wow.
What film school did you go to? What was the?
I went to Sydney Film School. It's actually like closed down now, like fully.
Okay.
They've reopened it to something else, but yeah.
And how did you find that experience at Sydney Film School? Did you learn? Obviously, you had to learn some stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Anything that helped you with your career?
Definitely. And I've got friends that I think the biggest thing for film school was creating the friendships and the people that you meet, because I've still got relationships with a lot of the people that I went to film school with, and we've done business together and all sorts of stuff, or I've jumped them on a shoot, so in terms of the people that you meet, it's hands down the best experience ever, and I'm glad I did it. But in terms of the learning, it was really good, but just, I don't know, I felt like I learned just as much on YouTube.
Yeah,
Really?
I agree. I
Wow.
100% agree with what you said, because like I feel like at the moment at where me and Anthony are at SAE, we felt like we're learning things, but
Learning
on
things on the go.
shoots, on
Yeah,
shoots, and
right.
like not really in the classrooms, in the lectures. There's like 1 or 2 lectures that we learn off, but spending all this money just
Right.
to learn stuff off YouTube, as you said,
Yeah, that's it.
it's it's a little bit ridiculous.
That's interesting because like I never went to film school or anything like that. I just literally like went for it when I was going into my acting career. Like would you say you learned a lot? Like I know obviously you learned a lot, but like did you take anything out into the world like with what you weren't learned in school?
Yeah, look, I did. It was a really hands-on practical film school. So like we were up to like 1 a.m. and then we were back up at 6 a.m. like when we were doing our big major short films. And I produced one of the big ones, and I think it ended up being like the most expensive short film that the school's ever done. But yeah, I think it was just, that was it. It was just a really, learning to hustle and to stay up really late and just
How old
work
were you
through.
at that stage?
I must have been 19, 18.
That's so good, man. So you've been busy.
Straight out of high school,
That's,
yeah.
that's
2015.
awesome, bro.
Yeah.
You can't teach that, bro. You can't.
Yeah, you
no,
can't teach
seriously.
hustle. That's
You can't, man.
100%.
No. You either got it or like you're not gonna pursue it if you don't.
Yeah,
If you don't
that's
have
it.
the hard work.
Yeah.
Hard work beats everything.
Actually,
Every day.
going back to the whole business side of things, I have a funny story to tell. So I was going to a live showing of The Voice Australia, and one of the producers came and she was like talking to me and talking to other students about it, and she's like, "Oh, Eric, like what do you want to do?" And like, yeah, like ambitious Eric, I'm just like, "Yeah, I want to make rap videos, I want to make music videos for the area." And she's like, "Oh, so
the
you don't want to
area?
make any money?" And it really stuck to me. And the whole time I was in the show, and I was just like, she's saying that I'm not going to make any money, but I'm going to make money. And
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
and then I started to like reevaluate, like, okay, maybe I need to really start thinking of like, maybe after these rap videos that I'm making, what can I do? Like, how do I expand? How do I grow?
Right.
And then that's when I started listening to like Gary Vee and like
Yeah.
started following your journey. And I was like, all right, okay, now I'm figuring out a path. Someone else is doing it.
Yeah,
Someone's laid
right,
the
yeah.
blocks. I'm just gonna follow those
That's mad.
blocks. Yeah.
Thinking about that, how old were you then? You would have been like around 19.
No, I was bro. I was like last year.
Oh, last year,
Yeah, it was
right?
like
Okay,
a
well,
couple
still,
years ago.
so
Yeah.
young people, man. Thinking of these things, it's awesome.
No, that's great. You're doing well too.
Yeah, I'm just
yeah.
hustling. Yeah, just trying to
really
hustle
well.
it out.
No,
It's an important part, man. Just going for it, hey.
Yeah.
Massively, yeah. You don't have to know much. You just go. Do it.
Yeah. So fast forward,
do
you graduated from Sydney Film School?
So graduated from Sydney Film School. I didn't do the second year, so I didn't do the advanced diploma. I sort of bailed out. And then and then got into the real world.
What's after that?
So after that, life really changed. It was just kind of, I was thrown into the deep end, really. I was working for a company, they're actually setting up a Ponzi scheme, little did we know. And at its peak, it was a $600 million company that collapsed virtually overnight. Very Wolf of Wall Street type stuff.
Right.
People were running out with computers, and it's like when it collapsed, it was just insane. But that was still though, while it lasted, was a really good job, and I formed fantastic relationships with all of my friends and colleagues there, and it was just hands down one of the best things I've ever been a part of. And when it collapsed, I was setting up a team within that company in Los Angeles, and going back and forth, trying to figure out visas, getting really excited because my big lifelong dream was Hollywood. So I was like, finally there, and and it was, I was like, finally there, and I was getting, I think, ego and all that stuff was starting to get probably a little bit too high.
Right, okay.
And it just kind of, like that, it just sort of all went downhill from there, and I was sort of left jobless after that, and I wasn't really sure what to do, and my spending habits weren't changing because I was still in that mindset. So I, was kind of running myself down and down and down into almost broke level. And then I opened up a partnership business with a mate, and we did that for 6 months.
Yep.
And it went really well while it lasted, and then we just kind of had a few differences in that, so we decided to close it and move forward. And then after that I opened up what I'm running now.
Yeah.
And that's Tye Bate.
Tye Bate. It's called Tye Bate. Yeah, and it's now a six-figure agency, so it's pretty.
That's
So good, man. Wow. Bro, seriously.
100%.
What's
That's
like going back to when you said it collapsed? What's the mindset like coming back from something like that? How do
Yeah.
you what are you telling yourself to get back to where you are now? Like,
Well, it was.
how do you come back from something like that?
Look, I needed time for myself to really. I was going at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I didn't give myself any time.
Yep.
So, and that's what I really realized, that when it stopped all of a sudden, I was like, damn, this is tough. Like, what am I going to do with myself? I was just trying to keep busy, but also I was just sleeping a ton. And I started to look at my personal life a lot, and I realized I realized my sexuality wasn't exactly the legit, the normal way. So
Yeah. And how long did you have those thoughts?
year 7
Year seven?
started. Yeah, so I'd known for ages and ages, and it wasn't until that collapse, which was a blessing in disguise, really.
Massively, man.
That I
You rise from it.
figured out who I really was.
Yeah, seriously, bro. That's awesome.
So that was just amazing, and still a tough few years to really come forward. It was like a massive time, but I feel like pretty much 100% now.
Yeah. So like you weren't able to work at your full capacity because you still, in the back of your head, you had that one
Like an
thing
obstacle,
that was just
massive
in your
obstacle,
mind.
It was in my mind, and getting sort of tougher and tougher, and I just realized, right, I've got to say something to someone.
Yeah, right.
So I said it to my business partner at the time, and then from there it was the family, and then from
What was
there
that
it was
like,
friends.
man?
Yeah.
What
was that like?
It was super tough. It was just kind of. I remember I was in tears on the night, especially to the family. Not so much to my friends. It's always tougher with the family, because they're the ones that sort of bring you up and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that was super tough. I told my sister first, actually via text, and then she helped me navigate it to the rest of the family. So so it was really good. But yes,
If you don't mind me asking, like, what was the fear?
the fear of potentially losing what I had created, which I had already lost anyway. So it was kind of a bit, I suppose, naive thinking, but just the fear of potentially losing what I've created, and also the fear of just judgment, just the same things that everybody, I suppose, goes through for whatever reason. And so they were the two.
And you thought that, like, if you came out, that would change the way people saw you and your business?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's so untrue, though.
Yeah,
That's
it.
That's so untrue, but I understand.
Yeah, like I thought I'm going to lose sales, I'm going to lose, especially when I did it publicly. Like, I just did like this post where I just said it, and I was like, it just came out, and I was terrified at the time, but I did it. It was like ripping a Band-Aid. And once that happened, it was just like, it was instant relief, because I'm a very public person. I quite like getting out there and being in front of people. So for me, holding that, I suppose, that secret in, it was like holding it.
You weren't being real.
Yeah,
You
right.
weren't being real to yourself.
Did you find a lot of like support afterwards?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I haven't.
It's awesome, man.
Haven't heard, touch wood, one negative thing yet, but it's
all
been
good, man,
amazing. Yeah. So,
That's so
but
good, man.
even if I do, I don't care anymore, because.
Well, you know what? The best things are usually on the other side of that fear. So once you can overcome that, like you already have, that's awesome, man. That's so cool.
I was telling Brandon before, Charlemagne the God, he actually has two meanings for fear. The first one is like fear everything and rise. Or the second one was what was it? What was it? I forgot it.
It's like it goes back to like that
It's
fight
like
or flight.
it's pretty much flight or flight.
Yeah.
And I feel like you selected
Or
you're a fighter, you know?
You can either rise to it or you can let it overcome you. Basically, yeah. And that's awesome. You overcame it.
Yeah, well,
so
that's
cool.
that's it. Yeah,
It's a good lesson in life, man.
Yeah, that was pretty big one. So, but once that happened, it was just up from there. Really, I've felt the best I've ever.
You feel light. You feel like
Pressure off.
My that's it. Like the energy levels were down. I was.
During that period, were you doing things to strengthen the mind?
I was falling apart really, I suppose. Like I had to go to a psychologist for a few days and or a few weeks rather, and just really try and think things through. It was like probably a year process, like to really because if you think about it, it's like from year 7 to beyond. It was like probably like a decade really, a decade of holding it in. That had that effect. And so once I said it was like a year to kind of like really get new to the new lifestyle, and I was kind of I was moody with my family to begin with, when I don't know why, because they were accepting, but it was just, I suppose it was part of that process. And then, so I was trying to hold on to something, but it was very tough for me. It was just, I think it was just a matter of going with emotions and being like, right, it's a new day, let's just do it. It's a new day, let's just do it, until it got so normal that then I was able to then build that strength back from, getting back into the gym, going back for the runs.
Yeah, it's good that you said that you recognize that you were going through something, and you said that you went to see a psychologist. Yeah, not many people our age do that, and I feel like people more should do that, because it's just like going to the gym or going to see a personal trainer. Like you're just trying to figure out what's going on in your mind.
Yeah, it's the gym for your mind, definitely. It's 100%. I think it's fantastic, and I still go. Once every 4 or 5 months when things, because obviously the business is, there's lots of pressures with business, so you've got to, you've got to look after your mental health. So I still go just whenever it gets to like, I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah, because all of us, we all probably like bottle it in.
Yeah,
and we also know that like we have to talk about it, but it's just a human emotion just to be like, I'll just leave it.
We're trying to subdue it.
We'll come back to it.
We'll try and push it
eventually.
down. Yeah. Wow. So how do you deal with that pressure, bro? Like, coming back from it, like now that it's done, and now you're building up. You said you're building up that, that wall for yourself. Not a wall, but like.
There's no more excuses.
Yeah, there's no more excuses now. What's next? Like, what are you looking towards now?
Yeah, I think it's just now I can focus on me and. As selfish as that sounds, but I can just kind of focus on, I suppose, my journey and not what people think as much, because now it's said, it's done, and it feels so freeing to just kind of let that go. So I don't know, the pressure was tough, but once it was done, it was just like, okay, it's done.
Free now.
And even after I publicly said it on that public post, I got shared by an influencer to like 1.5 million followers.
That's awesome, man. Yes.
And I was just like, oh shit, well, it's
That's
definitely out there to the whole world now.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, so after a week, it was a bit like sort of tough in the background. And now I'm just feeling,
Good on you,
100%.
man. So cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
So like, I just want to touch base on a bit more about how you're building. I'm gonna say building because it's still you're eventually gonna get there. Building Tye Bate, the company. Tell us a little bit about the process of how you're putting that together.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's just kind of a process. I think the customer comes first, really. Like, you got to do good by the customer. You got to create a good product.
Yep.
If you're in it for the money, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Massively,
It's honestly not gonna go anywhere. And I've done that. I've been that way as well, and I've come out of that. And
chase the money.
Like wanting to follow that money
Never
route.
works, man. Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't work. So now it's more like I want to help my clients and customers, but in return it's going to be money.
Right.
So I suppose.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. So just building it in terms of getting it out there, doing as much as possible, not being scared to speak your mind, to because it's a tough thing to say, oh look, this is going to cost $3,000. Like it's a tough thing to get on the phone and say, this video and package, it's gonna be a half day shoot, gonna get $2,000, it's gonna cost $3,000, and it's like you gotta have that confidence, I think, to just like really just say it. And then it wasn't until I started just saying, oh, it'll cost this, without like hesitantly saying it, then people just started saying yes, and I was like, well, this is kind of weird.
Is that daunting, man? Is that daunting? Like, just saying it outright.
Definitely, yeah. And at first, 100%, because selling's a weird thing. I mean, I think at the core of this business, I think the sales is where I really thrive, and the marketing, but definitely the sales. Like I love having conversations with people and saying, why I think they should, take this content on board.
Yeah. So you've approached it in a way where it's like you build a team around you, creative. So you have a videographer, a sound guy, an editor, and you're kind of like the head director, like vision.
Well, no, not even the head. I'd say I collaborate with them. I try and find the best from people, and then navigate them towards sort of an end goal of the brand. So I try and really work with the team. They're all contractors at the moment, but try and really work with the team to create cool content.
Yeah.
And
you let them do let them do their thing, and that which allows you to focus on business and get more clients in.
That's it.
Yeah, that's clever.
It's like that whole delegate, automate, or eliminate.
Wow. Say that again. What was it?
So delegate, automate, or eliminate.
Go into that, bro. What do you mean?
So delegate, for example, I'm sitting here on the podcast now, but I've delegated a shoot to a cam up in Glebe.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So that's happening as we speak.
That's so cool, man.
Which is weird.
That's awesome. Man.
So that's delegation. And then automate is when you don't need anybody, but it's a technological sort of process.
Okay. Yep.
So it's like a CRM process where you kind of automate emails, or you automate ads on Facebook or process.
Do you have automated responses on
I do on
yet?
Facebook on Messenger. I have like a chatbot type thing that comes back with a video. And
just as easier just to have conversations with the people instead of you just being like, "Hey, bro."
That's it. Yeah,
same thing over and over again.
That's it. There's some things that make it easier, and getting a VA to like help you with like responding to emails, because obviously I can't respond to everything. Quote request or whatever there is, so I try and delegate again a bit of that. But if it can be automated without a need, because delegation is more expensive than automation. Delegation is per project. Automation is upfront, long-term return.
Right.
And then eliminate is if you really don't need this, throw it out. If you really don't need it.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
I'll remember that.
Awesome. Do you find yourself, like, obviously coming from a film background, do you find yourself going back to film? When I mean film, I mean like Tarantino style, like that kind of like real
directing.
Like, film enthusiasm. Is that still in you?
Yeah,
I know you have a passion for it.
100%. I mean, I'm still, and I think that's where the success of the business comes from. Is that when I look at videos, I look at it and I really try and tell a story, or I really try and put that extra effort in to make it cool. I still got to get it out quick, because at the end of the day, you got to, when you're running a business, you got to get things quick. Still try and maintain as much quality as you can, but quick. But I still have fun with like, let's do this drone shot that establishes the scene,
creative,
and let's do this, cool trunk shot when they're getting their products out to, all sorts of stuff.
Because I feel like nowadays, I feel like the industry is a bit saturated with people just doing the same content. And you're far from it. You do what I want to do and just like create like good product with like a film twist to it. Yeah, especially Tarantino. Tarantino is huge for me. Like I feel like I want to just like homage him in everything I do. Yeah, literally.
He was so creative, like in everything he did. 100%. Like so different to everything. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing with his.
I was like, he homaged everything, bro. He didn't steal everything. He homaged everything.
No, yeah, he's amazing with his content, with his films.
Even like from the choice of like cameras he uses in everything he does. It's so creative.
Have you watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No, I haven't yet. I've seen the shorts,
so
but I've got to. But Hateful Eight was like one of my favorite films.
Yeah,
great movie.
I did that whole big 70mm screening and the internet.
That would have been sick.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
So good. Yeah, because I seen on your Instagram like you were doing little shorts. I think it was for your business as well, right? Like those skits you were doing. That's so cool, man. Like you had like 5 versions of yourself or something. That was awesome. That was awesome. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
At first I thought it was different people, but then I seen it was all you. I was like, man, that's film.
No, yeah, that was really fun. That was fun. The next one coming up, I'm doing one which is a caffeine addiction short doco, like a Kim Kardashian style, cutting to like me being fully addicted to caffeine.
Wow.
So
Look out for that one, guys.
Look out, I want to see that. The caffeine.
Let's talk about creative process. for someone young who's starting out, obviously you obviously hit like a creative wall block. Yeah. How do you deal with that? Is there a process you go through, or?
I think it comes down to, from a business sense, it comes down to not worrying too much, not being too self-conscious at what you're creating, and not really caring, because at the end of the day, quality is subjective. You know,
right.
you've got to kind of really just create as much as you can, and then sort of move on from there.
Right, okay.
So if you do hit that roadblock, I think it's just kind of trying to
Find your way
out of it, but not be too critical on yourself.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's a process,
a big
yeah,
one is like, I think we worry about how other people will receive it, and that's the biggest issue, and that's why when I hit a wall, I kind of like try to do everything to complete the project, and then in turn ruins the project, because you're just like, man, I gotta get this, I gotta get done, and then like by the end of it, you're like, what have I done? Like, what is this? Like, so yeah, I feel like for anyone who's watching, it's like if you do hit a wall, it's good to just take a step back. It's good to be like...
that's what I was going to say. Sometimes you need to take a break and go for a run, go to the gym, go and see a friend, whatever it is, and just kind of go out and try and, as hard as it is, try and remove yourself from it.
Yeah, right.
Focus on something else, be present with someone else.
And that's hard for people who all they want to do is work. It's hard to be like, take a step back. It is difficult.
Yeah, it's super hard to be present in the moment and to really focus on what's happening when you've got a brain like that. Yeah.
Because you can almost feel like you're being lazy. Like if you do that, you're like, nah, got to keep going. Like, I feel like that sometimes. I have to take a step back, but then I'm like, no, why? You're being lazy. Stop it. Get back in there. Yeah. But it's good, yeah. Bro, so you said you've been traveling. You just got back from
I had like a day trip in Perth for like 4 hours. It was like
awesome,
the most
man.
exhausting day ever.
And that's for work, right? Yeah. That's
How's
awesome.
Perth? What's Perth like?
It was really cool. It was quiet. Like I went there and I was only sort of had a 2-hour window to do the touristy things, and then I actually had to do work.
Hard work, man.
So I kind of got in the Uber and checked out these sort of cool little touristy spots, and very quiet, bit of a country type vibe. Nice. Cool though, like relaxing, not that hustling, bustling city that we have here in Sydney. Totally.
Is it like skyscrapers and stuff, or not really?
There is actually, compared to Adelaide, Perth is a lot more built up in terms of high-rise buildings. Not super high, but high enough.
I feel like Perth will be similar to like Christchurch, just like chilled and just like not very like...
Yeah, it's very relaxed.
Yeah.
To be honest, the first time I went there, when I was landing, I didn't know what to expect.
Perth or Christchurch?
Yeah, Perth.
Okay.
Perth. I went there with this mindset. It's just there's nothing there, and then I got there. It looked so beautiful. Like, it was nice.
Yeah, I think it's the people are nice, and there's wineries, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
So what's the going back to your Tye Bate? Are you going to keep it Tye Bate because that is your name?
Yeah. Well, I'm
for branding purposes. You are a businessman, you know.
100%.
That's it. It's a constant debate that I have with many people, because it's kind of, obviously they want me on the shoot most of the time, but what I find is as long as I at the start from the get-go say, FYI, I'm not going to be on the shoot, is that okay with you? As long as I say that, all is okay. Because they're going to say, yeah, that's fine, yeah, I trust you, as long as you're overseeing it, all good.
Right, yeah.
But, I've done a few where I haven't, and I've kind of left it until I haven't even told them, and someone else shows up, and I just kind of leave it to them to navigate it. And that resulted in a few refunds and stuff, so it was scary.
Wow.
But
Okay.
What sort of clients are you bringing in?
It's very varied. I mean, we're not really niching, which is a good thing. I know, I'm happy with that. It's very much everything. So we do cafes, we do models, we do hair. Hair and beauty is actually our biggest industry that we get a lot of work with. But yeah, it's so varied. It's incredibly varied, which is cool.
And each one is obviously personalized. They get a personalized.
Personalized.
What's the process? So if me and Brandon wanted to come to you to do a video or to do business with you, well, how do we?
Yeah,
How do we
well,
go about
I've got a, sort of like a map of like every scenario now because we've done so many videos. Like last year we did 800 videos as a business.
800
videos.
800 videos, guys.
Do you sleep?
Yeah, no, not much.
If you are lazy, literally get out.
Yeah, so that's tough. So yeah, but obviously there's team to help. You know, you can't do all that alone.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was really tough though. But next year, this year, we're looking at doubling it if we can. So
Yeah, 100%.
see how it goes.
Keep aiming high.
Yeah. So
Why not aim high?
yeah,
Why-
that's it. Yeah. And it's possible. You just gotta navigate, and it's like
Management, hey.
it's like an
It's-
orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally like an orchestra.
Yeah.
You're just that one with the sticks, you know, doing their thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll just take a quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, quick break for that.
So-
Yep.
Just that one's off. We're all
Good? Yeah.
All right, sorry guys. We're still trying to figure out the kinks, but back to Tye. Back to what we
Yeah.
were talking about. What we were talking about?
We were talking about the schedule.
Oh no, how you go about helping a client
Yeah.
figure out what sort of video they.
Oh
trying to
yeah.
create.
So yeah, there's basically like a map really. So we've got packages and we've got custom sort of rates. So we just kind of go in and figure out what the client wants, like in terms of a brief, like how long we've got to be on shoot, how we just try and get like as many questions as we can. We've actually got like a questionnaire, so I send that out as a fill out, and then they fill out all their details, and then from there we can go, okay, we know exactly what it will cost. And
Have you ever said no to something like, nah, that's whack. We don't want to do
yeah,
that. Or not
yeah, a fair bit actually. I do turn down a fair bit now, just because like some things aren't cost effective. Some things are you have to kind of figure out what works for the business. Like some things are good for exposure, so I do it. You know, some things don't have money, but they have exposure or they have other reasons and or good. But some things are like they want everything for nothing. And I've been down the road where I've said yes,
Yep.
and then it turns into like this big nightmare, and I either have to, I have to like do like 20 revisions, or they don't like it, or it's just part of the nature. Like not everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah.
But most of them are. So out of the 800 videos we did, we only had 3 that were sort of mess ups that didn't work. So it's a pretty good.
How do you deal with people like that, bro? Like give you a hard time, like, not necessarily a hard time, but they just want everything for nothing. They, and obviously it's not good for business.
So sometimes, first of all, you got to realize, okay, what are my mistakes in it?
Yep.
As a business owner or as a freelancer, any freelancers out there, like, what did I do wrong? Because sometimes it's not the client's fault. Sometimes it's not your contractor's fault.
That's good,
Sometimes
yeah.
it's your
If you're not
fault.
on the same page with the client, yeah.
Like, for example, there was one that I didn't express that I wasn't going to be on the shoot, and maybe I should have it. And the brand is my name, so that's obviously, like we said before, there's that kind of problem there sometimes, but not as much anymore because I've kind of rebranded it in a way. But yeah, it's very tough to deal with it. Some of it they usually, if they go on with their whole like why journey and it takes like longer than 30 minutes on the phone, I never take a 30-minute phone call now. I just say send me an email, see you later, because you just can't take those calls that go on forever. But usually if those calls they're trying to rope you into something, they're the ones I try and palm back, because it's just like they've got like this great vision, they're trying to get you in on the vision, but they haven't got any money, and it's just it's just
Trying to be like, this is a good vision.
yeah, it's a
Do
great
it with
vision,
us.
Right.
and then they say like
Right.
it's like $100, and I'm
That's
like,
so, yeah.
and it costs like $60 to produce.
Have you had mates who are like, yo, I'm trying to do
mate
this
rates?
thing. Yeah, mate rates.
Oh yeah, a
Like
few
you
mates
encourage-
rates. And look, I do mates. I won't say that publicly.
No, but for the
We'll cut that. We'll cut that real quick.
But yeah, no, I do some. I do help out mates, of course. But yeah, it's an interesting one to navigate.
Yeah.
It's hard to say no, but it feels really. You feel really good about yourself when you say no. It's because it's like, oh, you're in control of your journey. It's like you're the decision maker,
Yeah.
and you.
I only do mates rate on my not like if I'm in control of it.
Right.
Like I wouldn't just if you ask me, I would be like, that's a bit weird. But if I want to do it and give you mate rates, then I'll do it because it's a different thing. Like obviously, like if you're my mate, you should come and you should support me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like obviously, I'll always do mate rates.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to ask for it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't want you to ask for it, but I'm gonna do it. Just don't ask me.
I think at the end of the day, your no is more powerful than your yes at times. Like,
Yeah.
seriously,
100%.
Yeah,
Amen.
yeah,
it's true.
yeah. They become more and more powerful as they go
Yeah.
on.
100%.
Yeah, it's. I think the really interesting thing is as well as this thing's grown, the pressure's gotten greater and greater, but yet easier and easier, because it all comes down to mindset. It's how you deal with adversity or how you deal with, little hardships in the day. No, not everything. Not every day is, especially not when you're trying to create something from scratch or create something for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing's like this roller coaster, and
Oh.
what I've found is if you stick at it, the roller coaster gets steeper and steeper. So even though it's happening, you're getting steeper and steeper on this down roller coaster. That's just like, whereas if you kind of just go, oh, I don't like this, and then you just like stop and then go back to your 9 to 5, then it's not gonna.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Consistent.
It's pretty much like they're gonna be ups and downs,
Yeah.
but those up and downs are gonna bring you up
Yeah,
further.
100%.
Yeah, I really like that.
It's like what we were talking about before, Eric. Was remember that rocket? The analogy we were talking about, the momentum sort of.
yeah.
Like we're talking about this rocket that takes off, right? And at the start, it's like it's slow, it's whiny, but once
It needs
it's
to
up
build
there,
up that. Yeah,
Yeah.
once it's at that, I guess past the atmosphere, it just.
It really,
goes, man.
okay,
Good
interesting.
analogy,
Yeah.
like momentum, man.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Winners never quit. Quitters never win.
Hey,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do with this podcast. Is
Yeah.
just like me and him had the vision of creating this, and we said at the beginning we'll try to do one a month just to showcase someone.
And now,
We ended up doing 2 in one day, and then
One
we're
day.
like, why don't we'll get Tye on?
Yeah,
and then,
100%,
but like,
yeah.
what's stopping us from doing
Doing
another
2.
one that same day? So it's like keeping that momentum and asking yourself like,
Yeah.
what's stopping us from
Yeah.
continuing it? Like, what really is the
That's
main
the questions
factor?
you gotta ask. Yeah,
like
100%.
sometimes
yeah.
you want to achieve something and you know you can do it, but you don't do it because you're just like you don't take a step back and be like, what's stopping me? And then you have
And
to go through that list and
yeah.
be like, is it car? Is it petrol? Is it time? is it me? Am
It's
I
usually
lazy?
It's usually the little minor things. Hey,
It is it's always the
you just
minor
gotta
things.
overcome them. Yeah, 100%.
It's always the minor things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what's important is that morning ritual, isn't it? It's like what.
100%.
Yeah.
Can you take me through that, bro?
Yeah.
Ritual. I love this. Yeah, I love,
I
to
love
know
hearing
that.
these things.
Mo-
Seriously, tell me.
Mine's a little bit exhausting. It gets it depends on the day, because sometimes, like as a sort of a freelancer or a business owner, it changes all the time. So like sometimes I've got to be somewhere, like the shoot's early, so I can't go to the gym, and it's a shoot all day, so I possibly can't go to the gym, or I possibly can't go for a run.
What time are you getting up?
It's usually like 4 or 5.
Oh, you got a challenger.
Oh man, come
You got a
on.
challenger. He wakes up at 4 o'clock every morning. Every morning.
yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
'Cause I can't do it.
It's a good time to be up, but man, yeah, seriously.
Because it's time to be to yourself before the world wakes up, before
Yeah.
just to really think and
Yeah. Have a little edge over everyone else. Yeah.
yeah,
have to.
and just kind of like, I think, because it's important to have that downtime and that me time, I suppose, where you just kind of focus on yourself, because when it gets so crazy throughout the day, you know, you're everywhere, stretched so far that you just don't get that time to switch off.
Yeah.
So it's important to, I think the early hours or the late nights are exactly that. Yeah.
You make your bed in the morning? You make your bed?
Not really, no. I'm not that good there. I just kind of, so I usually it's like,
Yeah, take us through your morning ritual.
yeah, it's like 5 a.m. I'm in the gym or a run, and then that goes till 6, and then it's sort of race home. On an ideal day, I'd read, but sometimes I possibly can't. It's straight to emails.
Yeah.
Smash some breakfast if I can. Sometimes it's a coffee, liquid breakfast, and then it's just like race off to the office or race off to the meeting or wherever it is. But the whole day, I think what's important is prepping it the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I agree with
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
much, yeah.
Like even though I can't do, yeah, that's it. Like even though I can't do everything I want to do in that morning,
Yeah.
it's still like,
Getting everything ready at that night
The
before
night
is so
before.
important.
yeah.
The reason,
Excuses in the morning,
the reason I asked if you made your bed was because like this, I was reading this book about this Navy SEAL officer, and you know how like in Navy SEAL it's very strict. You got to be very lenient and disciplined. He said, "What's that?" Oh, okay, cool. Sorry. He said that that if you make your bed in the morning, you get one task out of the way,
Yeah.
and that way you start your morning like, all right, cool, I've done that. Now I can accomplish everything because
Like
I've done that
momentum
one
again,
thing.
yeah,
It's
keeps
that.
going.
It's building that momentum.
Yes, yeah.
How's your
Throughout the
morning?
day. My morning?
4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I get up at 4, around 4 o'clock. At the gym or going for a run. Usually the gym. I love the gym. And then I always make my bed in the morning. Always, that's the first thing I'll do. Then I'll say a prayer in the morning. Very important. And then what else do I do after that? Get ready quickly, breakfast really quickly, as yourself, and then throughout my day, just usually auditions, podcast prep. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
How about yourself, Eric?
Yeah. So
He's working. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working towards
With your morning ritual.
4 a.m. 5 a.m. start. I'm not there yet. I'm probably a 8 a.m. 7 a.m. riser, but I'm building to it.
Yeah.
So same thing. Just 7 a.m. 8 a.m. wake up, make my bed. That's the first thing I do. Have a coffee, read a book, then go for a run. And that's all between like 40 minutes. I try to put 40 minutes in.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think I only do 40 minutes is because if I put an hour in or an hour and a half, I half-ass it.
Yeah. Right,
I want to put full effort
Urgency,
in.
yeah.
I don't want to just be like, go for a run and be like, I'll just jog it out. I want to really push myself.
Yeah,
And,
that's good.
but I'm trying to get a better morning routine. Yeah,
You can,
it's
man,
all learning.
100%.
Like I'm
And
not.
it's a process, bro. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
almost like you got
process.
to max everything that you do.
Yeah.
So whether it's your gym or whether it's the, the work, the project that you're working on, whatever it is, just like giving you 100% to
Yeah,
it and trying not to be distracted.
Yeah.
How do you guys? I'm just curious. Just a couple of questions. Like,
Yeah, sure.
deal with distractions throughout the day from phones. Like, if you're trying to focus on a project and a text comes through, how do you
Ooh.
like?
Yeah,
You know what? I do get distracted sometimes,
Mm.
but I think it's just remembering like what you're doing, like why you're doing what you're doing, and just get back on track real quick. Reply to a text, look at Instagram, because I won't look at my phone on my Instagram. That's a big thing. Like until I get to the gym and I'm on the bike doing 5 minutes, like just for a quick one, I'll quickly get it out of the way. Get it out of the way, look at it, boom, 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 done, put it away. That's it.
Yeah.
Until after all that stuff in the morning, and then I think it's just getting back on track,
Yeah.
Get distracted, come back.
As I said
Because we're
in the,
humans, obviously.
in the previous podcast, I'm super guilty of like checking my phone and then being like, ooh, basketball scores. Ooh, this guy fought. Ooh.
Yeah, I actually put mine down there with the screen away.
But it really depends on the situation I'm in. If I'm in like an editing session, then I'll put an hour in. I put a timer, an hour timer,
Just focus.
and then just focus.
That's good,
Hit
yep.
a timer, check my phone, no messages, another hour, and then I just keep that pattern.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like
You
I'm
don't-
focused
Yeah,
and that's all I
100%.
do. Like
Yeah.
occasionally when I'm just like kind of like, oh, like this scene doesn't fit properly, I'll just like check my phone,
Yeah.
and then I get lost in it, and it's like a weird thing that I need to figure out.
What about yourself, Tye?
With
Distractions.
distractions, yeah, it's very tough. I mean, I try and sit down and edit for like an hour, but I just can't. It's like every 5 minutes I'm just kind of pulled in different directions. So it's like this weird thing. So I get very easily distracted, but I've started to I think that's why that early morning helps, because I just kind of do the most important thing first and just put the phone away for a bit. Because I don't have to be on my phone at 4 to 6 a.m. But
Fair enough,
from 6 till 10 p.m. I do.
Do you meditate or anything or pray in the morning? Like, is it like some people meditate, some people do it? Like,
I've tried it, but look, I reckon my running is the period of time that I get to sort of be with myself.
Meditation,
Yeah,
100%,
the running.
Some people just in the shower. And that's meditation for them. Yeah, 100%. That's awesome, man.
Good stuff.
So like I have a question.
Sure.
Let's say there's someone out there is watching, a young fella's watching, and they want to know, like, they want to get into the media creative industry. What do you reckon they should do? Should they go to film school? Should they just like get a camera, go out, film, build a portfolio? Yeah, like what?
Yeah, I would dare say it. Well, look, it depends what you want to do. If you want to get into filmmaking, recommend film school, and I recommend learning from the best in terms of watching lots of films and like analyzing. But if you're wanting to do like business video, I'd recommend picking up the camera, just like going to a business and say, hey, I'll create you a free video. Do like 20 free videos.
To do free work and stuff.
Build your portfolio, and then you're good. So, and then use that portfolio to just like start saying, oh, $300, $500, and then
Yeah,
elevate.
right. Okay. So
Yeah.
building it up. As
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before, like, we have to start wrapping
Wrap
it
up.
up soon. But before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you about. I saw on your Instagram you're on the road to becoming an influencer.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was something. Well, look, I just want to get out there a little bit more because I think there's a bit of a, there's a bit of a story to tell, and I want to try and, help people who are going through the same sort of thing, whether it's like some sort of young adult or teenager wanting to start their own business or whatever it is, just to, overcome those obstacles and just push and follow your dream and just really drive forward and not care what anyone thinks. So that's the key. It's just mindset, positive mindset, not caring what anyone thinks. So
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
important,
Yeah,
man,
we'll
yeah.
back you 100%.
100%. Yeah. That's important. Very important.
Yeah.
Not thinking
So do you wanna just give yourself a shout out?
Oh,
People ask
no,
us-
this is enough of a shout out. I reckon. No, it's good. No. So,
Where can people find you?
well, the Instagram is at Tye_Bate, and the
There'll be a little.
yeah, and the website's www.tyebate.com. No, so that's cool. Yeah.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
No, thank
Ty.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
No, it's
Tye
great.
Bate, everyone. Thanks everyone for watching the catch up podcast.
Yeah.
This is Eric. I'm Brandon.
Yeah, we'll 100% get him back because I feel
Man,
like there's some more
100%, yeah.
conversations that need to be had.
Yeah, many more. We don't have enough time, but mate, we're gonna get you back.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Let's
guys.
go. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Everyone. See ya.